Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition of the program. I raise my voice not so that I can shout, but so that without a voice so that those without a voice can be heard. This quotation is from Malala Yousafzai, who is a Pakistani, and she made this speech in the United Nations in 2013, that was in July, and she afterwards got the Nobel Peace Prize for fighting in favor of women, for fighting for women's rights. And you can know this is the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner in the whole world. She won it at the age of 17. She says again, I raise up my voice not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We are saying this within the framework of 16 days of activism against violence on women. And it ends today after the 16 days that started on November the 25th. We are going to continue to talk about women's rights. Women's rights. Are women supposed to be fighting for their rights in 2023? The answer, you may have your answer. We think that those so deprived women of their rights should get up today and declare that they are sorry and make it right. That is why our topic on Press R today is gender issues. Can he for she, positive masculinity, make it right? And talking about he for she, it's not what we hear today. People are going same sex, or it is actually a noble notion, an invitation for men to stand in solidarity with women to make sure that they have their rightful space in the world. Positive masculinity, also we're going to have the explanation in the course of this program. It's also for men to use the responsibility that they have, to use the power that they have had to suppress that women. They should turn it now in favor of women. That is responsibility. You can imagine how important this is within this time and what we're going to have a discussion on today's edition of the program. I myself am already a he for she. I have two men here. I think they should be. And you watching us at the end of the program, I suppose you should join the movement, the campaign, he for she. Meet our guest, Sandrine Moma, peace journalist and an ambassador, Kumufefet. Sandrine, you're welcome to Press R.
Thank you so much, Killian, and good day to all the viewers out there.
How many he for she's have you won over?
I can't count the number because we keep on winning on a daily basis. And I believe, like you said, at the end of the program, the other two gentlemen with us here in the studio will become he for she.
And a lot out there also.
Definitely.
You are an ambassador?
Yes, actually, I'm an ambassador against gender-based violence by Kumufetfet, a non-governmental organization operating in Cameroon. So we were made ambassadors sometime last year, where we began advocating for more people to put effort in ensuring that gender-based violence is mitigated, or why not stopped completely.
Thank you. I hope that you are succeeding in your campaign. We're going to get more from you, what you are doing, how far you have gone as a person, how far you've gone as an ambassador, and so on. Ebenezer Chefo is an educationist. You're welcome to Press R.
Thank you, Killian. It's my pleasure once again to be here on the platform. Hello to all the televiewers. I'm glad to be back at home.
Thank you very much for being back at home. Can we say educationist you are, have failed to educate perpetrators of violence against women, those who are refusing to give women what they deserve in society, making them equal to the men?
We are making satisfactory strides towards making sure that the school milieu is violence-free against women, though the violence is still continuing. And that is why we are here for advocacy. I want to believe that the advocacy should be a lifestyle and not just an activity.
Thank you very much for making that statement. Should be a lifestyle, not just an event, an isolated event. Thank you very much, Ebenezer. Therefore, you're going to tell us, we still think that we need more education to make sure that the campaign to make women equal, to let them have their place in society, goes a step forward. Oliver Acheyang is service head for empowerment of women's social rights in the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family. You're welcome to this program.
Thank you, Mr. Killian. I want to express happiness to be here today because I think this is my first time. And I believe that it's also an opportunity to continue to advocate as part of the global campaign for the fight against gender-based violence.
Yes.
And so I believe today, by the end of this edition, we are going to give out the concrete information that is required by the society to participate in this action.
Yes, you will also have time to tell us what is the gender policy in Cameroon, because you represent the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Protection of the Family. We meet our own Yvonne Mumabi, who is a human rights activist, proud to be, because women's rights fall directly under human rights, and you are a no-nonsense human rights activist. You are welcome to Presa.
Thank you, Killian. The pleasure is mine, most especially on this day when 75 years ago the Universal Declaration on Human Rights was adopted at the UN. How proud can we be to talk to fellow Cameroonians on a day like this? I'll begin by saying we should not misconstrue the 16 days to be days where you fight, where we only fight on violence against women. We say gender-based violence.
Yes.
Every strata of the society is concerned with violence. Violence is perpetrated on people because they are of the opposite sex, which means men and women. It's perpetrated on persons because they live with a disability or because of their inferior, considered by the perpetrator's conditions. So, to be all englobing, we are wooing the boys and the men to engage in gender-based violence, and Cameroon will quietly attain the Sustainable Development Goals without much ado.
Thank you very much for that foretaste. We're going to develop that further as we go into this program. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, we invite Faith Ngwang to tell us what the newspapers fed on in the week that just passed. There were so many activities, but we will always choose those topical issues to give you. Faith.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Press Review on Press Hour. We open our review with updates on the visit of Gabon's transition president to Cameroon. Municipal updates headlines: Biya Oligui talks, New Deal, precising that it was a high-level audience at the Unity Palace. The English Daily, The Guardian Post, in a juxtaposition, reports that the Biya General Oligui Nguema audience was an accouchement difficile. The newspaper adds that the visit of Brigadier General Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema, President of the Transition, President of the Gabonese Republic to Cameroon, is the offshoot of teething twists and turns. According to the Median, Biya gave paternal blessings to the new Gabonese strongman. The Voice on his part says in one of its wings that Gabon's transition craves the indulgence of veteran Biya, as the Post newspaper reveals that Biya and Gabon's military leader have discussed fostering diplomatic ties. Over in Parliament, budget was at the order of the day as government members took part in the question and answer exercise to defend their budget, probably why Cameroon Tribune headlined Défense des enveloppes budgétaires, le grand oral. John Gutesi's read in Parliament, the median opined as the PM availed himself on Thursday to present the social, economic and cultural program of the government, but opposition MPs blocked him from mounting the rostrum. Newswatch reports that Parliament rushes over 2024 state budget in 8 days. Chairman OC calls for discipline, unity among party supporters. The Herald Tribune reports as Newswatch adds that he appoints Bias Northwest Southwest Reconstruction's Njong as SDF scribe. The Eagle's Eye, on its part, talks of the confrontation between OC and the Minister of Public Works on toll gates location. The Guardian Post captions, drama as Amugu Belinga Eko freed, maintained in detention, while the median questions who issued release order for Amugu Belinga and Eko. The paper further explains that court denies the authenticity of the information, while lawyers say it is authentic. Good news for the Southwest region as municipal updates reveals construction of Limbe Gas power plant is imminent, adding that government seeks to review the Kribi-Lolabe highway deal. Personality of the week, Mba Acha Rose, Momo Elite Konsupe Boss, the Guardian Post highlights after the patroness of the Momo Cultural Festival in Yaoundé called on her own to preach peace everywhere they are. The Guardian Post also adds that the minister reinstated Momo's stand for the unity and the indivisibility of Cameroon. That was all we could pile up for you today on Press Review. Stay tuned for more.
Thank you very much, Faith Ngwang. In the papers, sometimes journalists say what was not probably said during an event could just be the event itself. We saw the personality of the week in the Guardian Post, Minister Rose Acha from Mindam, but we also saw pictures, outstanding pictures of some other person who distinguished himself during the week. Further, that is Tumfo Nico Hali. He is an Esquire barrister at law, former batonier, who won 3 more awards and brings the total number of awards in his possession to 178. One person scoring 178 awards. That is something to highlight. And we can only say in peace crusading, that is something the world also should. And after I got the news, I went researching and I saw Nelson Mandela had 250 awards. We had Mahatma Gandhi, and the one person who has had the highest number of awards is an American, Michael Jackson, who had up to 750. But let us give credit to one of us who has pocketed 178. 178 on peace crusading. That is something really ripe enough to write home about. The peace journalist, Sandrine.
Well, Killian, like you said, it is worth celebrating because being a Cameroonian and we are striving to, hit the target where others have set across the globe. It's worth celebrating. Peace Award, because every day we are canvassing for peace. We are hoping that there is tranquility, peaceful coexistence amongst Cameroonians. And back in home, these awards, we just expect that more should be done to see that we have peaceful coexistence. We want to see more campaigns against violence, against hate speech. We want to see less xenophobic attacks. So we want to see that based on the fact that he's backed these awards, we want to see more actions on the field to ensure that we have peaceful coexistence in our communities.
Sandrine is saying that is good, but he needs to defend further these awards that principally are on peace crusading. Ebenezer, knowing that our country is troubled in areas of peace.
Kudos to Barrister Tumfo Nikuhale I salute his achievements, and I say thank you for the work you are doing outside there to make sure that we live in a peaceful environment, both in Cameroon and out of Cameroon. And I want to say especially that his approach to peace is proactive, unlike other peace crusaders who are reactionary when crises have erupted, and that is when they step in. I want to say that on this special day we are celebrating the women folk, and Tumfo Barrister Nico Halle have seen on several occasions. He is dynamic and not just talking about peace in general, but he has keen interest.
Working for that. Thank you very much. That's not our main topic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in, this is Press Hour, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of the Production Center Mbala 2 here in CRTV. Our topic for today, I should remind those who are just tuning in, is gender issues. Can he for she, positive masculinity, make it right? He for she, Yvonne Moma B, that concept, this campaign, what is it all about?
It's a concept, like many others, that is to enable men join women to fight against the odds or the ills of society. The he for she concept is principally to quell down negative masculinities. It's a concept to remind men that, I think even in the preamble of Cameroon's constitution, we are born equal. So, society had impressed on citizenship that the men were superior to the women. That's a societal, not a natural. So we just want that. In the campaign against gender-based violence, more men should be seen, because worldwide, men are seen like the principal perpetrators of GBV. So, to quell down that thought that men are the main perpetrators, men should be seen engaging in, why not, talking to their peers to avoid being violent. That's just all about the concept. You have ambassadors. We want renowned persons. I hope Tumfo Nico Ale is one of our he for she ambassadors. And one of the most recent concepts by Africans is the men engage, or positive masculinity. All of these is just to encourage them that don't take the woman to be your inferior. Once you consider her your mother, your wife, your sister, somebody closest to you, you will not consider her inferior or transform her into a punching bag and start punching her.
So actually we are not supposed as men to allow women again fight for their rights that some of us men deprive them of. We are supposed to be the ones to come down from that high table, from that high place, and say, no, we have not been doing right. We have to give the woman, not actually give, let the woman take
have her own opportunity. If you already consider your daughters at home, what you would not like to see happen to them, you should already start working towards that. What do you leave for posterity? You want a situation where if your daughter has attained the same level, acquired the same certificates, she should not be discriminated upon just because she's the female gender. Let the playing ground be level, and let those who truly deserve it find themselves in positions. We're talking about political appointments. In administrative positions can only be handled when they are appointed. Give every citizen the same opportunity, because we are like two wings of the plane, the female and the male. Minus one of the wings, that plane cannot take off smoothly.
And if one is destroying the air, it will crash.
Yeah, even if it gets up, it will crash because one of the wings is weak. We are towards sustainable development goals. It takes both sexes. It takes every strata of the society to work towards attaining that. So the men should not feel that the women keep crying or they are. No, we are calling on our brothers, we are calling on our husbands, we are calling on our sons to join the campaign so that next year we will not have this number of feminicide. About 60 as we speak.
Yes.
Women have been killed by their intimate direct partners. That's why it's alarming. We should not allow the animal instinct in us overpower the humane.
Exactly. And talking about women, I like the way you've put it. I always bring up this concept, this quotation. In the 20th century, we had one woman who left very positive marks in her fight for women's rights. I'm talking about the English writer Virginia Woolf, if you like, Adeline Virginia Woolf, a writer who in 1928 published an essay titled Shakespeare's Sister, A Room of One's Own. That's in this essay, she says that Shakespeare, who is known to be one very renowned, unbeatable writer in the world, not only in English literature, was pronounced, and there was no female because her sister, which she imagines was killed, she was not given the chance to write like Shakespeare. And we have to allow women. A room of one's own means that a woman should have her own resources. A woman should have a space for herself.
Great.
Should not be suppressed by any person anymore.
We are not asking for biological equality.
Exactly.
We are asking for equity.
Yes.
Give us the same opportunities and see who does best with that opportunity.
Exactly, and I am coming to you, Oliver Acheyang, who is service head for empowerment of women's social rights in the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family. What is the ministry doing? What, first of all, is the gender policy in the ministry?
I want to thank you, Mr. Killian, and I believe that up to date, if we are talking about he for she, if we are talking about positive masculinity, it is because much has been done to arrive this stage. Actually, the government through the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family has done so many things to see that this concept, this phenomenon that is eating deep into the society should be prevented and at the same time be eradicated. The cases of the survivors be seen into and taken care of. Talking about the action taken by the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, I want to assure you that they have taken so many actions, but the most vital, important one we can talk here is the National Gender Policy, which aims at providing an environment. Because if we are talking about all the laws that have been put in place, if we talk about the civil society organization participation, if we talk about the stakeholders as a whole, or the cross-sectoral action that has been put in place, it is thanks to this gender national policy. So it has created an enabling environment that provides equal access to social services, equal rights and opportunities. And this is dependent on the Sustainable Development Goal, which is permitted to allow each and everyone to participate in the national development. So talking about these gender national policies, it works in 4 pillars, which I'm going to cite here.
Yes, let's get them.
We talk about the creation of conducive environment, which I've earlier mentioned, for social protection and equal access to social services, which is one of the pillars. We talk about ensuring equal rights and equal opportunities in resources. Equal rights and equal opportunities in resources. It talks about creation of condition for equal participation. I'm talking about equal participation to development actions. And lastly, the national gender policy also ensure institutionalization of gender in public affairs and private affairs.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just turn to the peace journalist who is an ambassador to actually carry the woman's voice louder, shouting, raising up her voice, not to shout but to make voices without any space to be heard. Peace journalists, do you identify with all these actions? Are you very comfortable that in terms of resources, social access, and then participation in development as a woman?
Well, Killian, I would say that those actions that have been put forward or the policies that have been made, they are quite impressive, but then we expect a lot more from the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family. We would realize that earlier this year, 2023, like Muma Yvonne mentioned earlier, we've had over 60 cases of domestic gender-based violence, and
femicide, killing.
Yes, femicide
more than
specific.
Yes.
And I want to say that for these 60 cases that have been recorded, if I wish to ask the representative from the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, how many press releases were brought forward to address this issue?
You will not be asking you the question. We will give him time to reflect on that. What we do is, you say you don't feel comfortable, that you don't have access, you don't have all of this, is that?
Well, I know they've made it available for women to be able to lay some of their complaints. They have made their doors open. That is very good. But then what I was saying is we expect more from them.
Okay, thank you.
We expect prompt reactions, especially when things like this happen. You know, when the numbers keep increasing, we expect prompt reaction. We expect them to say something. You know, these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, some of us as female journalists in Cameroon, we've taken up to the online space to talk about it. At the level of Cameroon Association of Women in Media, just on Friday they were at the UN office to still talk about this issue. Even the representation of women in media, we want to see more women occupying spaces which stereotypes used to make it seem like it's just for the men. I will tell you, Killian, in your studio, I think we would be pleased if we come next time and we see more women handling the camera.
Yes, you have to send them to school, of course, to go study doing camera. Yes, Yvonne, when the various actions by the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family were being cited here, I didn't hear anything about politics, and so much is done from the political space. So what do you think, as a very politically sensitive lady, should be done so that women get space in politics, in that very sensitive decision-making space, to make it right for women's positions in society?
Thank you, Killian. The question is very timely. Given that we are already preparing for elections come 2025, I don't think he did not mention, he mentioned participation. Participation is one of the pillars of UN Security Council Resolution 1325. It spells out, specifically he said, participation in all domains. Women should be given the opportunity to raise their voices, and most especially in the political domain. You will say they did not mention it. Mentioning it, I want to put it in this way. Come January, we should be a majority, like the majority of the population that we are, to go get ourselves registered. Coming out, it's not only to participate like those who go and animate the gallery, but like candidates. Women should prepare to be candidates or should get ready to accompany others. If we are not in those spaces where decisions are taken, we will not preach for our chapel, as I will call it. We will not preach for our peers. We need to occupy those spaces, and I usually say it's not given, it's seized. Cameroon should be the cameras of the world should be on Cameroon because of the large number we have in the National Assembly. We've gone beyond the Beijing platform. But I'll tell the ladies who are putting our green, red, yellow on them, I score you at 10 on 100. They've been too silent for comfort. Well, we should not only wait for men. Come out there. Cameroon is going through crisis. We've gone on street several times. I've never seen an elected member. Are they there for the numerical strength or quantitative representation? Most of what he mentioned are strategic papers. The ministry, I want to laud this ministry for including civil society in coming out with all of this. It's a multi-stakeholder gender strategy. Talking about mainstreaming gender in all spheres, I think in your house, I'll praise your Director General for really mainstreaming gender in CRTV. And I think if all other corporations and ministries and administrations were to copy that, women would, we are not fighting, we will not complain.
I was going to come to that. You just talking about mainstreaming and the rest. Talking about women rallying not only to go register but also to present themselves as candidates.
Yes.
And that is correct. But there is another level where it lies on the hands and the power of some people to appoint.
We want legislature that will protect that. I am so still scandalized that in Cameroon, our electoral code has never spelled out a quota. What are we afraid of? Elsewhere, there is positive discrimination, where you have female constituencies to get the women represented, to encourage the two arms of that plane. Some decisions at the different levels have to be taken, not only political, but the law needs to spell out.
What is the quota that you would like to have as women? 30%?
African Union has already gone beyond. The African Charter is talking about 50-50. Women are a majority of the population of Cameroon. A 50-50 representation will do nobody any harm. But ladies, I want to remind you, we have to come out and seize those opportunities. Nobody will strip themselves of their opportunity and give you.
Thank you. We need more female ministers.
Yes.
We need governors who are women in Cameroon. We need senior divisional
even one.
officers.
We've not had one. They don't even go there. We've not had one female.
We need them. We need senior divisional officers.
Oh yes.
We need dual divisional officers.
Yes.
Because those are
they train in the same schools.
Yes.
They acquire the same certificates.
Those are very sensitive political areas where, as they call it, it's command. Yes, Ebenezer, I've left you in the cold for quite some time. Education. You are an educationist. What is lacking? Some of these people who rule, we, the men, we are well educated. What is lacking in education that makes us continue to think that we are living in the Middle Ages, that women should not have their place?
Thank you, Killian, and thank you for Rambi. I want to say that gender parity is not just a women's issue. It is an issue, it's for the society. And the educational sector, where learning takes place, it should be the base. I want to say that within the school environment, it is common for you to see the female folk being relegated to the background. It's common, be it the female professor, be it the female student. I want to recount a story, a situation when we were there in the university doing our master's course. A female professor drew our attention to the fact that they are being addressed madam, as well as their male counterpart of the same grades are being called professor. That is gender being gender insensitive, and it's common. She was very, very aggressive, and she told us that anytime
She was disappointed.
Disappointed about the way we address her. She has attended the summit. She's a professor. And she was like, why is it difficult for you people to address me, professor? And that is the society where we live. In the school campus, you will see issues how, like, let's talk about unwanted pregnancy. The female folk is the victim. Hardly will you see the school suspend both the male and the female folk. Most of the times it's the female folk that has been relegated. But I want to trace this back to our culture. The culture has contributed enormously towards this. Statistics have shown that between the ages of 6 and 14, not up to 80% of the girl child is in the classroom. Because within the school milieu, that is where educators can address the issue. But if the students, if the children, if the female girl is kept at home, how are we
I think it's
going
no
to
longer the
intervene?
case. It used to be. It's no longer the case. I think so.
It is still
Because today the story Yvonne and her folk have now is the question they are asking is that today you have more girls in schools, and they are asking what happens that when it comes to representation in society, further in
Just
decision
like
making,
professors.
you instead have fewer of them. Today you have more girls, and they are asking where do they go to when they complete.
I'm
all of
talking
them.
about being sensitive. The language we use, it causes the girl child to feel as if her position is behind. We're talking about cyberbullying. We're talking about stalking. We're talking about sexual harassment. It causes the girl child to know that her position is not in front there.
Yes. Let me ask you, because that's a very sensitive thing you're talking about. You have professors, you are getting towards that level, and we are told that it's a cankerworm. It's a very serious problem in higher institutes of learning, universities, and the rest, where professors, lecturers, not all of them, I must apologize for those few good ones, who harass for marks,
Sexually
harass for
transmitted
other
marks.
things. So, how many have you reported, or you are not aware that it's happening in your school milieu?
Of course, it is.
Or you fear that if you report, you will not progress?
I earlier started by saying that gender parity is not just good for the women. It is good for the society. At the time, for any society that empowers the female folk up to the state, to a level that they feel equal with the men, the society is winning. So, if I come across such a situation,
Have you not come across any? Let us leave that. If have you, and what have you done? Let's be practical.
and that is why I'm here to denounce it. Accepting your call, Mr. Killian, that I want to talk about the malpractices within the school milieu, it is my little quarter
Thank you.
contributing towards addressing that situation. I'm talking to teachers. I'm talking to school authorities, school managers. I'm talking to professors. I'm talking to the male folk. That for us to address this issue, we should start by knowing that the women folk, she shouldn't be traumatized. She shouldn't be relegated to the background. Just the language itself, abusive language on the female folk, it causes her to know that
Thank
the
you.
women are supposed to be behind.
Thank you very much. And we have so many foundations, so many associations of women. We have social services where if you are harassed as a student, you can go. If you as a lady in the home, you don't know where to go to, you can go to some of these social services and report any violence, any maltreatment that is happening. Sandrine, this is personal. Have you suffered any harassment, any violence, and what did you do in that case? Your answer is going to help some of your junior ones who are likely to go through that.
Okay, Killian. To be very honest, I have been a victim of gender-based violence at the workplace, where my boss kind of had a different treatment to me based on the fact I'm a lady, and the others based on the fact that they are men. I wouldn't want to go into details. It was really a bad situation, because when I get to the office, as I just see the corridor, my mood changes, everything about me changes. It was terrible until I had to leave that place of work. Killian, please permit me come back to you asking the question.
You cannot. I will permit you go there. That defeatist attitude you took, you ran away. You did not face it, and we mean the same boss will do the same thing to others, to another woman. Did you come up to a bolder lady like Yvonne, and there are so many of them, to report? Because that's what we are talking about.
Well, Killian, as at the time, I did not go to another NGO or to other people to report this particular issue. Well, it's true that we always say we should report cases of GBV, but then at the level, I think I could handle it based on the fact that I could move, because sometimes, when it comes to domestic GBV, sometimes we tell the victims walk away. So walking away too is part of solving that GBV situation. If you can walk away, then you walk away. Otherwise, you would want to report so that other structures can intervene.
Yes, you have an employment somewhere. You know how difficult it is to have employment. Duly employed, probably not even by that your boss. He is just there as head of whatever thing. And because of that, you walk away. Are you sure you're going to reconstitute yourself and have another? Okay, you are going to say it is not enough. What else do we have to do?
I want to thank you again once more for this question. I think these 16 days of activism on gender-based violence is an opportunity for us to tell the world, to sensitize that when they witness such cases, they should contact competent places and report, so that the action should be taken.
Yes.
Because when they keep it in them, then it dies away. Victims will continue to emerge. So that is why I said it is not enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you listen to her, you certainly say, "Oh, why didn't she come up to me?"
No, it's not. There is first, in the fight against GBV, the principle of do no harm. She will not just jump and go and report by risking her life. The fight against GBV, or activism against GBV, is a process. We are at that stage, Killian, where for the first time in public space, Cameroonian women could stand and denounce perpetrators. We have the case of the magistrate in is it Boya?
Yes.
Who for once could sanction by a prison term a medical practitioner who violated the rights of a woman. It's a gradual process. We are here to sensitize, and I will not call on any victim out there to just jump out and start screaming and risk their lives. It's a process. She now knows that if he does that again...
I feel very uncomfortable when you say that.
No, let me land. We now know, they are now sensitized that when that happens, you break the ice ceiling. Tell it to the world so that we scream on that man's head.
Okay.
Remember, we went to Limbe, removed the corpse of a woman. Almost all the activists in Cameroon were on the street. That man had to run because she was a victim of feminicide. Yesterday, Cameroonian women could march, walk the streets to talk against feminicide. That is the sensitization we are talking about. Talk about it, because I always tell the young ladies, from a slap, that is already a violent man. As he starts slapping, you say, what will I do? What will people say? What will people say when you are now a corpse? And the fight against GBV is not only to sustain the victim or the survivor, but even the perpetrator needs help.
Now,
if you run out and complain, that person might have a problem that would have been resolved as early as. So we just say the early warning signs are there, denounce, and solutions will be sought.
Killian, please let me continue, because you had to intervene when I was talking.
Yes,
like I said, I did not go out to an authority, but I didn't say I did not address the issue.
Okay.
Because after walking away, I made sure that I addressed the issue. I made sure I made this person understand this is what you were doing, and this is how it made me feel. That is why I walked away. You understand? Gender-based violence.
What did the person do?
Immediately, since it wasn't a case of physical violence, we have different forms of gender-based violence.
Yes, I agree. But
and
what was that person's reaction to your approach?
Well, first of all, just moving away and succeeding to move away was enough.
I mean, when you went back to the person to let that person know.
The person felt bad. We spoke. We understood each other. I made the person to understand that this is how sometimes it should be at the workplace. It could be like this. We could have very cordial relationship and all of that. Killian. Like I was saying, gender-based violence is something which is sensitive. If we have to go about reporting to every non-governmental organization or running to the Ministry of Women's Empowerment at the slightest issue, we'll realize that we'll have so many and maybe very petite issues. Let's say if someone just slaps you, run to the ministry and report. We might have like 20 people receiving a slap on a daily basis. It's a process. Sometimes you might have to get to other people close to you to see if the situation can be addressed. Now, if the situation cannot be addressed at your immediate environment, that is where you take the situation to higher authority.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Killian, if you permit me to add something there, I want to say here that we are talking about a case where you lose your job, and maybe the perpetrator was not your employer, and now you quit, so you consider that not something serious. I believe that it is something serious because you lose your job, and the consequences not only go to yourself but to people around you who will benefit from you. Now, talking about denouncing, it doesn't mean you go to the street. You can contact people, because first of all we have to come out with statistics. Before we say something is violence or there is violence, we must know the statistics to say no, this thing is really eating deep, it's really serious. Yes. So when you keep it within yourself and you're working within yourself, the society will not know, and consequently we will know there's nothing like violence.
Thank you. And I received some panelists here last edition, and they said immediately that happens, you go to the hospital and establish that fact first thing before you can even consult whoever. Now, we don't have so much time. We still have about 12 minutes to go, and we're going to jump into what should men do. The topic of today is gender issues. Can he or she positive masculinity make it right? What should men do to make it right? We understand we're going to touch on our society, essentially in Cameroon, where we have most of our traditional rulers are men. Most of them, I should say over 90% of them. We have a small number of women who are traditional rulers by their right. But now we're going to ask the question, what should men do to get in solidarity to fight gender-based violence and other forms of violence against women? Yes.
To me, I want to begin. When we talk about cultural practices, I always like to go back from my northwest of origin.
Yes, let us go
Each
general.
time a traditional ruler is installed, there is an accompanying woman, the Mafo, who takes care of women's issues, which means our traditional institution mainstream gender more than the modern institutions. At that level, Takumban cannot come out and any phone dares to go in front of them. That is again tradition. When we talk about these stereotypes and all what is happening, they are imposed or not by society. I don't see anywhere where it's even written that a girl should not inherit from the father. Society made them think that she will take it and go and get married, and that's all about it.
And you think it's not serious? You think it's not serious?
At all.
It's not only an African issue. Let me not go deep into this. we know of what happened in England, where a princess had issues, and it's linked to the fact that she wanted to bring in a foreigner into the royal family.
Absolute monarchy. That's what happened out there. And that again, was it GBV? The queen was a woman, and she was that's her condition. She didn't see beyond her nose. She didn't see that should happen in a royal family. I think even that stereotype has been broken. A South African, almost black lady is married to a prince. We want to see that, Killian, the men can do it. If they just break away from what they perceive like being anchored on them, this negative patriarchy in families where women lead or women are the eldest children, those families have succeeded. Let each one of us, those listening and those of us here, go back to our communities and study that those families have succeeded more. It just means we can do a paradigm shift. Decide that if that woman out there who was being cheated was my daughter, will I permit it? Once we consider it from that perspective, you will see a difference. It's a worldwide phenomenon. We didn't say it was only Cameroonian.
Thank you very much. And look at the way you are dressed like a Mafo. You made mention of, and Ebenezer is dressed like if that exists, like a Tafo. Let's just call a traditional ruler. Yvonne is suggesting that succession should also, in terms of the traditional throne, should go to women. And the argument she has given, and which is the argument we have, is that these ladies are destined to marry off to some other place, could carry the throne away. So, not by saying that Ebenezer, don't you think that even as you are he for she, that traditional conservative that it should go to men, should it also go to women?
I want to corroborate that argument, and I want to say that tradition is being
that in your family, a lady should succeed the throne.
Tradition is being made by man, and is for the good of the society.
Are you just saying that on this set, if you go out of this set, will you say the same thing?
Any time, Killian, the law, at any time that tradition is hindering human coexistence, such a tradition is obsolete and it needs to be avoided. The Southern Cameroon's High Court law, which is still applicable, talks about repugnancy clause, and it says any traditional activity that is against our custom, our belief, our conscience, such a tradition is out of place and no one should pay attention to it. I hold close to the tradition of the Northwest region
and the Southwest
and
all the other traditions,
yes,
of course, not only these ones.
I think that if at the time I will be dying and I see that the best person who could take over after me is my female child.
No, to inherit your house is different from inheriting a throne, which is not a personal position. That is what I want us to be very clear about. That in this case is not about the family throne that has to only stay there. You come and go. We're not talking about your private property. I have girls, and when God calls me, they're going to take over my property. That one, there's no question about it. Okay, but we were talking about traditional setup, which is a collective, a community position. It's not individual. I think we should make that clear.
Killian, it is in the mind. What is wrong for the husband to come and live in the palace with the female lady? It is in our mind. The husband who is out of palace is married to a princess, and who by tradition or by virtue of whatsoever she has been made the chief. What is wrong?
No, there's something wrong with that. I think I'm going to shift away from. I'm going to shift away from this because I will not be able to explain to my people out there that I was supporting this type of debate on press. We are moving out. What should men do to make sure that women have the same opportunities, because that's what we are talking about, and that GBV, gender-based violence, it's not only reduced but eradicated from our society.
Mr. Killian, I think we cannot just run away from that topic because I have something to chip in.
And I will still come back if you will permit me.
That particular topic.
When we excuse me, please. When we talk about the traditional post, it is a kind of managerial post.
Exactly.
And it requires somebody who have enough knowledge. So if we prevent a woman from succeeding in that post, are we saying that a woman is not intelligent enough? A woman cannot manage?
No, the management at that level, I am part of this debate, I'm no longer coordinating it. management at that level is not the modern management.
What if there is no management?
It's management of blood.
What if there is no
management of blood, of call it the genealogy of a family. It is not management of a public property.
In the absence of a man,
that they will solve it, and they have.
Let's take that as part of the challenges.
There have been cases like that, and they have been solved. Yeah. We have had cases in which the man is not there, and they have waited for decades for the right person to come up, because he's managing blood at that level. So the question we are answering now, as we face out of this, which we have not answered, is what should men do to eradicate GBVs, gender-based violence?
Well, thank you once more. I think the fight against gender-based violence, it goes in stages. And if I say stages, it will depend on the level of the class of the population or where the man is. We are talking here about the political class who hold positions.
What should they do?
Who are supposed to give opportunity for this, look into the problem of women and the terminology equality, because sometimes they get confused with this terminology equality, and they want to think that it means giving the same opportunity to
it's actually giving the same opportunity.
I mean making a woman to take their place.
No,
making a woman to take their place. It means they should give a woman opportunities.
Yes, thank you very much. The way out for you, Ebenezer.
I earlier said that to me, it is more of a cultural issue than political, than educational. So for us to trace the root cause of this issue, we should get back to our culture. Men should stop living.
Do we need to go back to our culture to tell a minister, a president to appoint women to decision making?
They have grown up with that culture, knowing that the female folk is the second-class citizen, and that is why we have to get back to our culture, our beliefs, the way we think, the way we perceive, the way we see things, the way we do things. Only comes as a result of where we are coming
Thank you very much. So we need to go back to the culture but not replace the traditional rulers. Yes, Sandri.
Yes, Killian. I think we should start from the base, educating our children while they are young. I think they will grow with that mindset that they can be equal opportunities for all. Once more, I want to allow the efforts of MINPROF for the policies they have made so far, but we would wish to recommend that we see more seminars too for men. We've had a lot of women coming together to talk about gender-based violence. If we have more seminars organized for men, heads of institution and all of that, I think the narratives would change. We want more men on board, because most often when we talk of GBV issues, we see men laughing. And Killian, just before you cut me, I just want to tell some of the men watching out there, a lot of you young men, when you reach a certain age, you feel you don't want to wash your clothes again, you don't want to cook again, you start thinking you have a wife. Please, the mindset should change.
Thank you.
You should want to have a wife because you need a soulmate, and not because you need a
Thank you very much. I think that's well said. Men should also, as he said, gender issues can he for she positive masculinity make it right? We think that if more men are pulled along, it's actually going to reduce, if not eradicate, gender-based violence and other issues that go along with not giving the woman her place in the society. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we made time for you on Press Hour. Today we had Sandrine Moma, peace journalist, and Kumfetfet ambassador on women issues, Vanessa Chefo, who is an educationist, Oliver Cheyang, who is the service head for empowerment of women's social rights in the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, and we had Yvonne Moma B, who is a human rights activist. We also had all of you, ladies and gentlemen, who gave us your time. Thanks for watching. There will be a rebroadcast of this program at 2:30 on Monday.